G'day folks, here's my look at two underrated Aussie metal bands, Psychrist and Darklord. G'day folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're starting a series of what I consider to be underrated Aussie metal bands. Now this is not underrated here in Australia, this is underrated in the rest of the world, or what I consider, and I may be completely wrong with these. Maybe some of these bands sold, 10,000 CDs in Poland, or who knows. But this is just what I consider to be bands that just don't get talked about as much anymore. There's various, Facebook groups that I'm in, like death metal appreciation-y kind of ones that they occasionally get mentioned, sort of thing. But really, I think they should have been bigger. Let's put it that way. And I mean, again, this is not Australian related, because in Australia these bands were pretty big. They pulled pretty decent numbers, sold plenty of CDs if they were available, and yeah, so this is not really designed for Aussie fans. You'll be sitting there going, wait a sec, I was a huge fan of those guys. But yeah, so this is more for my overseas viewers to get a further appreciation of some not quite as well-known Aussie metal bands. So, I mean, obviously this is not going to feature your Disembowelment or your Bestial Warlusts or, a lot of bands that have finally made it big. Definitely won't include Mortification, who were, for a long time, one of our, Australian metal's finally on the map. And it's like, yeah, I wish it was a better band. But anyway, I digress. So, yeah, I'm going to just go through a couple of bands at a time, go through their releases, usual sort of stuff, and yeah, there'll be links below to whatever I can scrounge up. Some of them still have Bandcamps. I mean, this is usually going to be, bands that don't exist anymore, but who knows, I might do some current bands as well. But so yeah, whatever links I can find will be below. I mean, one of these ones is only there's only YouTube clips, unfortunately, because I ain't got a Bandcamp or Spotify or anything, so you might have trouble buying some of this stuff, but I'll at least provide links to hear it. So I definitely encourage you to check them out, because yeah, there was some bloody awesome stuff that came out of this country and not enough people know about it. So let's get into it. Alright, first up we have Psychrist. It was a death metal band from Canberra. They were quite a bit of black metal. They probably could be deemed as blackened death metal. But at any rate, they formed in 1992 with Yuri Ward on guitar, Dan Marsden on bass, and Matt Coffey on drums. Dan and Yuri were in the lineup the whole time, but they had a few lineup changes, you could say. So yeah, they started in 92, went through to about 2003, split up for a while, came back in 2013 and played like one gig in 2014, and yeah, nothing since. So yeah, maybe they're still on hiatus, but yeah, I'm not holding my breath. During that time, they released a demo, an EP, and 2 albums, one of which, Embrace Rapture and Disgust, was on my top 20 Aussie metal albums list. So yeah, that's definitely my favourite, but all their stuff was pretty friggin' killer. And Abysmal Fiend, their EP, probably should have been on my EP one as well, to tell the truth, but oh well. So yeah, let's get into their releases. The first release they did was the Demo 1992, which I don't actually own. I never had a copy of this one back in the day, possibly due to its rather average sound. Plus, I did get to see them live back a heap those days, so yeah, that was probably enough. But yeah, this is with the original lineup. Yeah, it's really not my favourite of their releases. Some of the songs are just sort of, yeah, it's demo days, definitely. They're still working out their sound, working out their style. Some of the songs have sort of long, slow bits that really don't work all that well. I think Decay is, yeah, not that flash. The standout for me on this one is Tears of the Deceased, which they re-recorded later. Yeah, that sounds killer. So, and it's also slightly obvious that drummer Matt, who was originally an Addictive, killer old thrash band, I don't know if he could quite keep up, to tell the truth. So yeah, this was his one and only release with Psychrist. So yeah, it was a good start. And I mean, Dark Symphonies or The Crypt did a really good job reissuing it, or like remastering it on this reissue version of their first EP, which came out a couple of years ago, I think. So yeah, that sounds a lot better than I remember, that's for sure. So yeah, good job. But yeah, they got to start somewhere. Let's put it that way. Playing around Canberra about the same time was an old band called Mortuary that unfortunately never released anything. They played similar, death metal-y sort of stuff. But all their members went on to do plenty of stuff. Singer Sasha went on to be in Dement Ensemble and then The Bloody Vice. Bass player Chris was in, or still is, in My Tile Veilorth, very long-running Canberra black metal band. Guitarist Treddy was in the one-man band Zype Totec, and was also in the band The Moots, charming band, rest in peace Treddy. And they also had Roy from Alchemist on guitar for a while, but they also had their guitarist Matt and drummer Jamie were both, I don't know if they were pilfered into Psychrist or they'd already split at that point, but they joined Psychrist at any rate. Somewhere in between there was Eddie Telfer was guitarist in the second guitarist in Psychrist for a while, in '93. He was in another old Canberra death metal band that never recorded anything called Disinter, who luckily the lucky band members all got the nickname of Turd after their name. So there was Simon Turd from Disinterred. So Ed Turd was a guitarist briefly with Psychrist, and he was in several other bands I think as well. But eventually they settled with Jamie and Matt, and it was a bloody good find because Jamie's a damn fine drummer. I went to school with both Jamie and Matt, so didn't know Matt all that well, but Jamie I knew well. We were in the same tutor group, I think it was called, so yeah, we just sit there rambling on about metal most of the time. So yeah, he was an amusing chap, you could say. Flanny lover. But yeah, after this they recorded The Abysmal Fiend, which came out in '94. So yeah, this is just them as a four-piece with Yuri singing. I think it's only Yuri singing on this, maybe a bit of backing. And yeah, this is just leaps and bounds better than the demo. The production's thick as hell, smoother songwriting. They've definitely found their sound on this. It's and yeah, one thing that really stands out nicely is the solos as well. Yuri's got a really nice sort of style. I don't mean nice in a bad way. It's just, I don't know, classy, you could say. It always lifts the music a bit, I reckon. So yeah, this era was pretty influenced by the New York death metal sort of stuff of Immolation and Suffocation, plus a bit of your Carcass and Symphonies of Sickness sort of style. They did used to cover a song of Symphonies, I think, and your Morbid Angel and Bathory and so on. Wasn't quite as brutal as their later stuff, like Debauching the Minions. The last album was a bit more brutal death metal-y. This was just normal death metal, you could say, from 1994. On this, Tears for the Deceased gets a re-record on this and sounds even better, bloody sped up. Oh, sounds awesome. I don't know if they really needed, there's like a slow down, weird, trippy bit after Tears at the end of the EP that... it's probably one of those things that sounded really good in the studio after a couple of cones, but yeah, no. Didn't really work on this. But the song itself sounds great, so... it was originally released on Warhead Records, which is an old Sydney record label and store as well. That was the Hammer House store where I remember going to and drooling over all their spiffy long sleeves and the like. But yeah, as I said in the previous one, this was re-released by Dark Symphonies and The Crypt. I'm never sure which is Dark Symphonies or The Crypt. I think it's just the same thing. And yeah, what's her name? Dark Descent as well. So this one you could probably still get pretty easily. I don't like your chances of getting the original version, but why bother when you can get a reissue, which has the demo bunged on the end as well. So yeah, this is a killer EP. It's got Shroud of Profanity, shows their really excellent dynamics that they had, sort of speedy, blasty, black metal-y bits to catchy groove. Like it's got this killer suffer to the end, bit towards the end that's just great. And yeah, I remember seeing them live, especially at one of the Bloodlust festivals. It was probably a bit after this, but the dynamics really stood out well, especially after seeing a lot of other bands that were similar. Maybe they were more black metal bands. They were a bit sort of one tone or speed. And Psychrist came on and I was like, yeah, that's the ticket. Just excellent groove, but vicious as hell stuff as well. And yeah, I think the drumming from Jamie really helped on this as well. It's just sort of that catchy bit. He does a really catchy intro to Coprophile after, I don't know, what sounds like a chainsaw or something. seem to recall there's a lawnmower sample on here somewhere as well, maybe that's what it is. And there's like, the main bit of Spiral has this sort of, you know, drum beaty kind of back and forth bit that sounds really cool. He used it to devastating effect live at the last gig that they played. He just sort of dragged it out just to piss a fan off. It's great. So yeah, I'd highly recommend this EP. It's just killer stuff. I really did find their sound great sound. I seem to recall they weren't super happy with it when I interviewed them once for an old Street Pest mag I used to write for, and pretty sure it was one of those things. I think I remember Yuri saying, "Oh, it sounded great in the studio, but then when you actually put it in your stereo at home, I was like, ugh." But I reckon it sounds fine. So yeah, it's a classy EP. Their first album that came out in 1999 is Embrace Rapture and Disgust. So this is the one from my top 20 Aussie albums list. Originally this was actually recorded in 1996. This was recorded at the same place as the Abysmal Fiend Powerhouse Studios in Sydney, which is an excellent facility that also did Alchemist demo and Arm and Angel demo, Mortal Sin album, and Melissa DeColes, whatever her name is, among others. Yeah, the production on this is absolutely killer, even better than Abysmal Fiend. They've now added Kel Delhunty to the as a vocalist on this, so I'm not quite sure. Like live, him and Yuri used to sing sort of trade-offy kind of bits, so I'm never quite sure who does what, but at any rate, it sounds bloody good. Great. It's a bit raspier black metal style on some of this, combined with the deep death metal-y stuff. Just works really well. So probably one of the prime black and death metal albums there is, I reckon. This wasn't actually released until 1999 due to the album cover issues. They were supposed to have this charming Grenade, well, this cover that Grenade eventually ended up using, but record label didn't like it, so sat around for a while, including, because I think I did the interview I did with them was, probably around 96, 97, so they gave me a tape of it to listen to. Did this interview, it didn't come out for a couple of years, so yeah, I listened to it a lot. So yeah, eventually it came out on Dissident Records, a Queensland label that also did their next album as well. This might be a little tricky to track down, I suspect. Occasionally, I'll put links to a few Aussie distros below that occasionally will dig up an old copy or two, so you never know, you might get lucky. I think, pretty sure the Bandcamp link I've got has this album on it at any rate, so yeah, it's killer bloody album. A bit more intense, I reckon, than Abysmal Fiend. I mean, not that there was anything lacking in that, but this one's even more vicious. What is it? It starts with Abate the Chains of Rules. It's pretty nasty, but I think it's Victual Ecliptic Hate, which is the second song that has this charming lyrics. I'm not going to read them all because they're a bit gross, but one of the lines is, "To get to heaven, you have to drink the piss of Jesus, or you'll end up in hell." So, okay. I think these boys were ever big fans of God, hence they, much like Immolation, never were. And I think its title track, Embrace Rapture and Disgust, got quite a black metal sort of feel to it as well. They actually have a song called The Abysmal Fiend that wasn't on the EP of the same name. It's got a really nice solo in it as well, but yeah, honestly, every song on here friggin' rules. I consider this actually one of the most sort of advanced death metal albums ever come out of Australia, which is why I kind of think of them as underrated. Like, this shit should be everywhere. Should be worshipped and playing big festivals and all that sort of stuff, because it's just absolutely killer. By the time this eventually came out in 1999, they had 3 new band members, so yeah. Slight lineup change there, unfortunately. So I imagine this lineup, they probably still got to play this quite a bit live, and later on I'll put up a whole lot of flyers, because I saw them a number of times and they played Canberra a lot, so there's plenty of flyers to go around. But yeah, I would vastly recommend, if you're going to check out one thing by these guys, this one is the peak, I reckon. So before Embrace came out, Jamie and Matt and Kel all left the band. Had a drummer called Roger from Dying Embers for a while. But then the eventual lineup that played on Debauching the Minions, which came out in 2002, was Yuri and Dan still there, Nathan now on guitar, Glenn on drums, and Wes on vocals. Overall, I think this is slightly more brutal death, this album, I think. Still got the dynamics of the earlier stuff, but they still have a bit of the blackened feel. I think it's Haven of Betrayals, my favourite song on here. It's a bit raspier and nasty. The deep vocals get a bit samey after a while, to tell the truth, so I like it when there's the interchange with the raspy sort of style. The title track's just got this killer tremolo breakdown bit in it. It's friggin' bloody good album, this one. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with this album, it's just Embrace is a bit better, I reckon, but and Godfucked has another nice sort of Black Death sort of feel to it. They redo Shroud of Profanity from the Abysmal Fiend EP and speed it up as usual. That sounds pretty bloody killer. It all ends with a nice little mellow acoustic bit called Harbouring the Fire. This one was engineered by Lachlan from Nazul, actually, so I was getting around. This one you can probably still track down, not too hard. I mean, this one also came out on Dissident Records, and I think Dissident still sells it. But yeah, after this, according to the liner notes on the Abysmal Fiend, they did another recording of about 3 songs around the time this came out in 2002, which was going to be used on an EP with live stuff, but yeah, then they split up due to issues. So yeah, that was it for Psychrist, unfortunately, until 2013. Sorry, they got back together, and the lineup that reformed was sort of a mixture of eras. It was Yuri and Dan as usual, plus Jamie on drums, Kel on vocals, and Nathan on guitar. So I only did one gig. It was bloody awesome. I mean, again, I've seen them a ton of times. It was still bloody good to see. And Kel was in fine form. I remember him being a bit shyer back in the day. But he was channeling rock from Sad X, something fierce. It was a sight to see. It was very beautiful. But yeah, as you can see, I'll put up a big batch of flyers because they played a lot. I saw all eras of them, from the Matt Coffee days to the end, basically. Probably helped that they were from Canberra, and so was I. So, but yeah, as you can see, they played with Disc Execution, Bestial Warlust. They one of their main really good gigs was the support of Morbid Angel when they toured on the Blessed of the Sick tour album, and which was a friggin' amazing gig. Still, that rates in my top 5 gigs easy. And yeah, they opened, and then Armored Angel, and then Morbid Angel, so friggin' amazing lineup, that's for sure. But yeah, they played a lot. They played a number of Metal for the Brains as well, and always did a killer job. Played a couple of Bloodlusts, so yeah, that was great time seeing those Bullocks live. As you can see, there's some interesting looks that they had over the years. Wes was a funny looking chap. So I thought I'd do a Where Are They Now as far as the band members go. Yuri played with Armored Angel for a while and was on this, their only album that they ever put out. So yeah, he was on that. He also played in Kill for Satan live, played with Lord Chaos, and there's another Canberra death metal band called Tortured that he was in or is in. I'm not sure what their status is. Plus he also played live with Midral and Hellbringer. Dan formed a pretty damn brutal death metal band called Infinitum that didn't sound too different. They were just more like the brutal side of Psychrist. So yeah, did 2 albums and an EP. I think Nathan was also in them as well. So yeah, they were killer. I don't know what happened to them. They just split, I suppose. Like Dan, he moved to Queensland and was in Astrial. Not sure if they're still going, but he's also now in Puncture Wound, which is a Queensland death metal band. They're pretty freaking killer. Kel was in Kill for Satan along with Yuri. So Kill for Satan was they started as like a cover band of doing just your classic metal, Slayer and Autopsy, all sorts of covers. But then decided to write their own music. So they had the Sasquatch Brad .17 on vocals and bass, and also Tony Kirk from Exceed on guitar. I think they had various earlier members when they were just a muck around live band. And Kel also did Trench Hell, which was killer band with Hushy from Gospel of Horns and a number of other bands. Those two, I think, were the only ones who recorded stuff. They did this EP in a demo or two and a split, I think, so they were killer. Nathan still does the rounds in a Canberra sort of grindy band called Wretch that are bloody killer. He was in Infinitum, also in Futility and Reign of Terror for a while, and where he met Mal Meninga. I've got to put this picture up because Mal Meninga was a rugby league player, a pretty legendary one at that, and some weird reason Reign of Terror, classic legendary old Canberra death metal band, hung out with Mal Meninga for some weird reason. So, and Matt Coffey, the original drummer, he was in Henry's Anger for, well, probably their whole career. I'd say it was a slightly more alternative band. Wasn't really my thing. I saw him too many times, but anyway. Singer Wes was also in Infinitum for a while, and the drummer Glenn, he played with Lord Chaos and was a freaking damn good drummer, that guy. Matt Keel, I'm really not sure what happened to him after it all, and Jamie, drummer, he flies planes now. No shit. He's a top bloke. So yeah, that was Psychrist. Excellent death metal band. Highly recommended checking them out. There's links below. They're just, sorely underrated band. They should have been huge. I'd be curious if they, lived in Europe or America somewhere, if they'd be bigger, because it's bloody awesome stuff. The next underrated band to discuss is Darklord. They're a black metal band from South Australia, from Adelaide. They formed about 1991, lasted till about 2004-ish, I think. Black metal, but a bit different. Essentially, the way I describe them is Mortician covering Emperor. They're just ridiculously deep, detuned, heavy as buggery sound, but playing pretty damn fast, blasty, keyboardy black metal. They had a live keyboardist, and there's plenty of keys, but one of the other definite standouts is a lot of solos, and not just normal solos, neo-classical shred kind of solos that, they're talented lads, I think. I mean, I'm no guitarist. I don't know if they're just wanking away and it's crap or not, but it sounds good to me. As I think I discussed on one of my Discogs ones, they had double guitars, which was always awesome to see live. Both guitarists had, I think it was the top guitar was the solo one, the bottom was the rhythm one, and it worked very well. They're fine guys. I think originally they were in a band called Outrage that I still have not heard. It's an old thrash sort of band, I think. So they played live infrequently, I think, or maybe they just never made it over to the East Coast all that often, or maybe I was just lazy and missed them. But I think their first gig was like 96, and they it's on YouTube somewhere, I think, so I'll see if I can put a link to it below. There's a surprising amount of live Darklord on YouTube for some reason. Maybe they recorded it, or some good person in Adelaide. I didn't actually hear they put out one EP and one album. That's pretty much it. There's like a promo that I don't actually know what's on it. I'm not sure if it's just songs off the album as a promo or what, so I can't even talk to what's on that. I mean, I know what the songs are because they're listed, but whether they're re-recordings or not, who knows. But one EP, one album, and I don't think I heard them until I actually heard this killer compilation, which is, if you're wondering, Sawblade. This is Dissident Records, Queensland label, put out an excellent compilation. This is probably actually not where I first heard Stargazer, but where I first heard the song Magician, which is my favourite of theirs, but probably where I first heard Carbon and Jesus Anal Penetration and Excruciate, and a good batch of bands. I love a good compilation. I think I might do a video on good Aussie compilations at some stage. But at any rate, on that I heard their song Blood of Angels, which is off the album, and holy shit, it starts with this massive sort of killer chugger riff, and then nice keys, and then it's brutal blast and just abyss deep vocals. It's ridiculous. So that certainly piqued my attention, that's for sure. So let's have a look at their two releases. So their first release from 1994 was By the Force of Sacred Magic Rites. Originally came out on CD, which I don't actually own, unfortunately, so... And I'm kind of kicking myself because I think I remember seeing it in various shops for probably cheap, but I do own the EP version of it. This was reissued on Blasphemous Underground Productions, is some French label that also re-released the album. So, yeah, the CD itself was just self-released, I believe. So essentially it was, yeah, to the point. 6 songs, but it was under 10 minutes, so it wasn't exactly lengthy. And half those songs are sort of intros or weird bits, so there's 3 proper songs on there, but far out, it is heavy as hell, as you would have seen from that, or heard from that little sample at the start. Ridiculously detuned, not much is a great deal heavier, to tell the truth. Unfortunately, it's fairly obviously got a drum machine on it. It does say drums session. But yeah, it's quite obviously a drum machine, which is, yeah, a bit noticeable. After a while, you kind of fades and you don't really notice it too much. But seeing it's only 9 minutes doesn't take long. It's pretty much mostly set on blast, but occasionally they've got like big chugger riffs that sounds just ridiculous. The vocals are just deep as hell. They got a little raspier on the album itself, but on the EP they're mostly just deep as buggery. I think there's a bit of pitch shifting going on in parts that, yeah, it sounds a bit Deicide-y in parts, you could say. I think of the proper songs, I think Prince of the Land of Tears is probably the highlight for me. It's just chunky riffs, nasty as hell. So yeah, unfortunately, pretty short, at a mere 10 minutes or 9 and a bit minutes. So yeah, it was and it was like 7 years until the next release came out. So yeah. In 2001, they self-released their Symphony Satanica album. I can't actually remember where I got this, probably from a gig, but at any rate. I think it was distributed by Modern Invasion Music, although I don't have the sticker on my back, so I'm assuming I got it from the band. I don't know. Yeah, this is definitely a full-length album. This ain't 9 minutes long. This is 9 songs at 56 minutes long. Yeah, it has a better sound on it, this one, to tell the truth. It's not quite as blown out as the EP, but has more keyboards and a lot more solos, that's for sure. They go to town, I've got to say. Still mostly set on blast, but sometimes punctuated by, you know, your chunky, chuggery kind of riffs that just sound so good as they're so detuned. Whenever that just kicks in, it's like, whoa. So yeah, this is where Blood of Angels is just like, whew, holy dooly. Yeah, I also have the record version. This is one that I bought in like Chicago, of all weird places. I never saw it in Australia. This one was also released on Blasphemous Underground Productions from France. Never saw it in Australia. I haven't since. I saw it in like just a record shop next to, what was it, Reggie's, I think. I don't know, a venue in Chicago that I think I was going to see like DRI or who was it? Some other death metal band, I don't know. And it was on one of my trips to MDF, and yeah, sure enough, sitting there was like Darklord album. I was like, okay, why not? So weird purchases, but yeah, it's nice to have it on record. It comes with best band photos. I love it. Yeah, they knew how to do an image, that's for sure. They were dramatic looking lads. But yeah, the songs on this are, yeah, as I said, much longer. Occasionally a little long. Probably could do with marginally less solos. But it works really well as a whole. You don't sort of notice how long it is, really. I think, what is it? Our Father Who Art in Hell. I love a good messing up of a hymn. It starts with the classic Exorcist, let Jesus fuck you bit, which I watched the movie again last night just for the fun of it, and yeah, that scene's all class. So yeah, that always brings a smile to the face, even though it's sheer brutality after that. It does also have a song called "Killing in the Name of," but not a Rage Against the Machine cover. But tell you what, I'd pay a lot of money to hear either Darklord cover Rage Against the Machine or Rage Against the Machine cover Darklord. That would be... Anyway, I shouldn't laugh. This is serious black metal stuff. This also features I Summon, the re-recorded from the EP. Slowly extended, but not much. It's probably the shortest thing on here. But yeah, it's just as bloody good, I reckon, as the EP, if not better. I think, what is it, War in the Sky is probably my favourite on this, but everything just rules. It's... yeah, again, stupidly heavy, lots of keys, lots of solos, and just fast and nasty. This one has, as I said, raspier vocals as well. Not sure if they're all done by the same guy. I think one of the guitarists was the main singer as well, although live after a while they had... sorry, I'm just reading the vocals. Yeah, it looks like Stormbringer was the vocalist. Live, I did see him live a couple of times. I saw him at a Bloodlust or two, I think, but one of the main ones that I remember was a gig in Canberra that they played. I'll put the flyer up. It was a great gig, along with Kill for Satan, I think. And yeah, they were just on fire. They had Parl from a number of bands, you could say, on bass, and he also did the raspier kind of vocals back then, I think. I don't think he's on the album. I think they also had Matt Butt from Oni and a few other... I think he was in Stargazer for a while as well on drums live. So I don't think he recorded with them, but yeah, they were bloody good live, far out. It was just intense stuff. It was, again, they probably played 45 minutes to an hour, and it was just, yeah, intensity and so much fun. There is also a split, I like called Obscure Infinity, that they're on along with Amethyst, Atrophy and Carmina, but those songs look to just be the EP, so nothing fancy there. So that's pretty much all there is, one EP and one album. So I'd very much like if there was more to hear, but yeah, not that I can work out. So after they split, which I think I guesstimated from flyers was probably about 2006ish. Yeah, they did go into various other bands. Guitarist Necromancer is in Oath of Damnation, who I've actually got a few of their other things in the mail coming, so looking forward to that. They sound pretty similar to Darklord. It's sort of death metal, black metal-y sort of stuff. Really pretty similar, so they go alright. It's also in another band called Shadow Realm that's a thrash band that I can't say I've actually heard yet, so... the other guitarist, Stormbringer, doesn't seem to be in anything, which is, yeah, a shame, because he's a talented bloke, obviously. So, yeah, the drummer, Hellion, which was, I think Matt Butt, was in Beyond Mortal Dreams and Oni and Stargazer. Don't know what he's in now. No idea about the keyboardist Chaos Lord or the earlier drummer Manic, I think he was called. The bass player they had at the end... Parl or Doomsayer is he gets around, let's put it that way. In true South Australian style, I think he could rival Damon and Denny from like Stargazer and about 20 other bands. I think he could rival them for bands that he's in. He's in Beyond Mortal Dreams, and what else is he in? Johnny Touch, Christ. He's just joined Christ Dismembered, and yeah, he's also in Oath of Damnation and Shadow Realm with guitarist Necromancer. So, yeah, he gets around, that chap. He's a talented bloke, obviously. So, yeah, this is a very killer band. And as I said, I cannot find any Darklord official, digital versions of it or anything. So, unfortunately, down below are just a couple of YouTube links to their two releases. There are links to Oath of Damnation and Shadow Realm and Beyond Mortal Dreams and so on, so I highly recommend checking those out. And yeah, I definitely recommend watching the YouTube clips of those. I'm not sure if they don't like this music anymore or they just don't want to release it. I don't know. It's a shame. It should be out there, I reckon. But yeah, definitely one of Australia's heaviest black metal bands. Ridiculous stuff. It's beautiful. So that's the first in my series of underrated Aussie metal bands. Hope you enjoyed it. yeah, those are two very killer bands. I highly recommend checking them out. And yeah, if I've got a batch of bands I have in mind to do for future ones of these, but if you've got any requests, any old, preferably old stuff, because I'm an old geezer, but yeah, feel free to leave a comment below, and yeah, I'd be keen to hear about stories of seeing either Psychrist or Darklord live. So they got around a bit, I think. So, but yeah, more to come in that space. But I've also got more. I got a collection update I got to do, and a batch of other ones planned. So yeah, it should be fun. So once again, this is just my opinion that they're underrated. They may have thought they were bigger, but who knows. But yeah, I highly recommend checking them out. They're just both very good bands.